but I will do my best. Unfortunately, you cannot run away because you will be judged impolite if you do so. So you have to stay here and to listen to my presentation. So it's a good win-win situation for all of us. Let's start with a quote from a famous movie that fits right into this presentation. Maybe you know it. If not, I'm either old or you're not a cineastic, I don't know. I'm so glad to see so many of you lovely people here tonight. Do somebody know the movie from this quote? Is it? Okay, I'm too old or you're not cineastic. It's the Blues Brothers, by the way. It continues with the concert in the Palace Hotel Ballroom. Anyway, there's the next person you might know from another movie. And he said something that is very important for what we are doing if we're talking about technology. He says, the future is whatever you make of it, so make it a good one. And that's a very important thing for using technology in daily business. And we're talking in my presentation about technology at the end, because none of us knows what the future will be for us. Well, we have to make decisions for the strategy and the technology we're using in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years maybe. And we make really important decisions for our company, maybe for us personally too. So currently we still feel that a lot of customers or a lot of things, a lot of companies we're talking to still have the feeling that there will be some kind of recession or political struggles or whatever. So they are a little bit afraid to invest in new technologies and go forward on the path of digitalization. So business and technology decisions are delayed somehow. But we found also out in the last 2 years, almost 2 years, that we have a new experience. A change is possible. That was very important. For instance, for me, I just calculated before the presentation, 3 weeks of my lifetime in the last year I did not to spend in my car driving to the office because I've been in the home office. And 3 weeks of lifetime is a lot. I could spend with my family, with my hobbies or other things. And before, my colleague in the management board said, no, home office is not good. We cannot control what people are doing. We had the best year in our life, in our company, so we never had such a high revenue and other things. So home office was good for us at the end. And we also found out that we cannot go through the challenges we have if we do it with the same methods and the same people and the same technology and in the same framework conditions. So we need to change something if we want to be future-proof with our strategies. And therefore, we need different approaches. And one is thing you need to have the possibility to use different technologies. You need to be fast in your decisions. You need to be fearless in your decisions, and you need to be flexible in your decisions. And many of us, especially in the IT area, are neither fast nor fearless nor flexible, because we're using techniques we're used to use in the last years or in the last centuries. Even think about things like, let's say, 3-tier architecture. It's a thing in software development still used, but it's outdated completely since many, many years. But many of our software systems are working like that, and we still use them. Or we still have legacy systems running on mid-range data technology and things like that, and we are afraid to change them. Or if we say digitalization is just putting an app in front of a mainframe application, that's not digitalization. That's just an app in front of a PC or another computer. So technology will change a lot, maybe everything, but let's go through some examples. For instance, Amazon, you know Amazon, everybody knows Amazon, I guess. They were a bookstore, a digital bookstore, the first digital bookstore, and then they invented the Kindle. And everybody said that's cannibalization of your business. So you will not sell any books and you will go bankrupt. As we know, Amazon did not go bankrupt. They invented much more technologies, and every time they invent new technology, they have a disruption in their own processes. They do things where everybody else says, this is the last thing they will invent. After that, they will be gone from the market because nobody needs the technology. Think about the Echo, for instance. When they presented the Echo as a personal assistant, everybody said, oh no, that's espionage. This thing won't work anyway. It cannot understand German. Yeah, what should I say? Unfortunately, I have Echoes in all over my home. And that's great if the internet is stable. Sometimes the internet is not working. Last time I found out I couldn't switch off the lights. So yeah, if you have a smart home and you're relying on such technology, you need to live with the drawback of such technologies, and you need to be fast and fearless and flexible if you want to use it. My wife said, just get rid of that technique. I want to have a switch on the wall. I don't know. I won't install switches anymore, I think, so we will go with the technology. So if you're fast, fearless, and flexible, there are examples of good techniques in the market. For instance, does somebody know this nice gadget? The Nokia 9000 communicator. It was pretty expensive. I never could convince my boss to buy me one. He said, no, you don't need it. And you know the killer feature of that machine? Why everybody wanted to have this machine? It was a fax. You could send a fax with the machine, so you could communicate securely on a Nokia communicator. And Nokia invented the first smartphone. So they had a touch screen, they had an operating system pretty similar to iOS, and it only had a battery lifetime of 9 hours. So the Nokia board decided not to bring the smartphone to the market because they said everybody is expecting at least a runtime of a battery of, let's say, 2 days from Nokia. You know the result of it. Apple presented the iPhone, and for the iPhone 1 and iPhone 2, everybody was running around looking for a wall plug to charge it. I don't remember the exact battery lifetime, but it was around, I don't know, 4 hours, 5 hours, something like that, if you really use it extensively. So at this time, they were one of the most worthy companies in the market, but they were not fast, they were not flexible, and they were not fearless. And so you know the result of it. There is, I guess they are still a Nokia brand, but it's not Nokia anymore. And they go back to their roots. Nokian is a tire company, and they are one of the most successful tire companies in the world with the highest margin on their products. So they reinvented what they did before. They started with rubber boots and tires, and they're again doing rubber boots and tires. Why does it happen? That happens because it's a law. The law was, let's say, it's a commercial law that was invented by, not invented, it was first stated out by Mr. Schumpeter. Mr. Schumpeter was an economist from Austria, and he stated there will always be somebody else in the market that is faster than you, or the products are cheaper or is better or anything else, and what will happen is disruption. And he called it the Schumpeterian law of creative destruction. And if you have a look at the first Fortune 500 lists, for instance, from the 1955, only 12 companies are still on the list. And if you go with the Schumpeterian law of creative destruction, in 2035, for instance, 75% of the companies today on the Fortune 500 list won't be there anymore. Not because what they are doing is not required anymore, but because anybody or somebody else was faster than they were. Anybody had cheaper products or better products or whatever. So this is very threatening for many companies, but they don't think about it. We heard a lot of stagnation in market niches because you do good business, but will you do good business in 5 years? You don't know yet, because you don't know where the market will be in 5 years. So the winner in all this is something that was already first time named in the 80s. That's the adaptive enterprise. The adaptive enterprise is a company that is able to react on the market trends, on customer requirements, that is able to use new technology to adapt all his processes and strategies to the market and the requirements. And this can be done with technology. So technology must be selected today for questions, as I said, we don't know yet. So we need to decide, or our customers do that every day, decide on technology stacks for things they don't know in the future. They decide on systems they have to use, even if they don't know what the competition will be in 5 years. I'm pretty sure Amazon, for instance, will be there. But in some other areas, maybe there is completely different competition. Startups starting with new technologies, new inventions. You don't know that. Think about Tesla in the car market, and that is a threat for all the established car manufacturers we have right now. And nobody will know the result. Maybe Tesla won't make it, we don't know, if they're not be able to fulfill their their strategy with the new batteries and things like that, but we will see how the result will be. Maybe Apple will invent a car. Still some rumors on that they hired some car engineers and maybe building the Apple car or the Google car, we don't know yet. And there was another person, I think you know him, he said if you can solve a problem on the same level it was created, we have to rise above the level and to see from top to the problem. That's what we are not doing. We are using technology as we are used to that technology, and we need to change something. And there's a miracle cure for that, very important. That will help all of us, I think so. That technology is not important. Technology is important how we use technology. And the last movie quote, you know Deadpool maybe? And in the first movie he said, I'm doing to you what Limp Bizkit did to the music in the 90s. Hopefully there are no Limp Bizkit fans here, because this is a little bit mean, but it's okay if you don't like the music from Limp Bizkit. And I think the solution for this is something that is called containerization, cloud computing, and microservices. This is a known technology, but many of you maybe don't use that, or you've never heard about it, or you don't talk about it, because it's innovative, but it's not common. And we found out that if you go, for instance, microservice, just in an explanation, you break up your legacy systems into small pieces of services. You can distribute directly in cloud environment. You can put them in containers to distribute them, to deploy them very easy, to scale up software up and down. It's easy to use technology if you know to it. You don't need Windows for it, for instance. You can put it natively into Azure Cloud if you like to, or Amazon Cloud, or Google Cloud, or whatever. And it gives you the freedom to build your systems in a scalable environment. So you have something like you're used to from cloud software. You have elasticity, you have immortality of the software if you do it right. So something like the question of availability doesn't occur for cloud solutions on container base and with microservice. They are available as long as the cloud services are available. This is something you should consider from my point of view if you're thinking about strategic decisions. And the secret is use a technique that is really native cloud technology. If somebody tells you my system is running in the cloud and you take a deeper look, maybe it's, let's say, a virtual machine just transported to the cloud. And Microsoft calls that lift and shift. So this has nothing to do with cloud technology that cannot scale natively. It still needs a Windows tax and things like that. So just take a deeper look into your decisions and really decide for native cloud technology that can be scaled. If you're going for on-premise software, just look at a hybrid approach. Use a system that can be transported to the cloud. So if it's native cloud technology, maybe you can run it on-premise, for instance, in a Kubernetes cluster with Docker containers. It's possible. You could use these software directly in the cloud later on if you like to, or you can go for a hybrid approach to have company confidential data in your hybrid solution on-premise and the not so important stuff in the cloud solution. And another thing is that you should use technique that is possible to be operated headless. Headless means you don't need a client. If you want to integrate, for instance, solutions for document management into your SAP solution, and you need to use another client, that's, it's not ridiculous, but it gives you a lot of work in maintenance and things like that. So look for techniques that brings you the services you need and that you can integrate into your environment and in your future environment. And another very important thing is ask the ones who should use the software. If the software is not user-friendly and the decision is made by your IT department because the technology is good, but nobody can use the technology, you will fail definitely with your digitalization things. So that is, I don't know why, but in many projects people don't ask the users. But user experience is pretty important, like customer experience. It's another point. If your customers can't use your software systems, you will fail, definitely. So look for software that is looking sexy and easy to use. That's a good advice if you, for instance, using SAP, sorry if I say that, and you have a form with, let's say, 150 entry fields you have to fill in because you want to add a business process. This is not sexy and that is not easy to use and nobody is happy with that software. but you use it because you're used to it. If you don't do that, there's something we call digital Darwinism. You might get extincted like the dinosaurs because you cannot adapt fast enough to the requirements of the market. And a lot of companies, like we've seen for instance with Nokia, already are extincted in their area of business. So there is a threat to you, even if you don't know it yet. But be careful, watch your market, be fast, be fearless, be flexible. Try to use innovative software technology. Try to look at your competition. Try to look a little bit ahead, at least 3 years or 4 years, where you might be then. A customer of us, Panasonic, for instance, they have they call it Future Research Department, and they are looking 500 years in the future. And from 500 years, they're going back in planning steps, 100 years, 100 years, 100 years, 10 years, 5 years, 6 months, 2 weeks. So they always have a plan B and a plan C and a plan D. And Panasonic, for instance, was the largest manufacturer of video heads for video recorders. Some might know video recorders. It's an extincted technology at the end. And they were prepared. When nobody wants to buy video recorders anymore, they already were prepared to build DVD recorders or CD recorders and later on Blu-rays, because they had this plan from 500 years back to now. And they had an alternative to do business they're still doing. They're very successful with that. You don't need to plan for 500 years, by the way. We don't do that. We plan in the software business for 2 years maybe, because we don't have any idea what will be after the 2 years, especially if it comes to basic technology. But anyway, consider where you stand. Take a look at your software. Take a look at your processes. Do something like we've learned before, for instance, with robotic process automation, with document management, with highly scalable solutions in the cloud, and be fast and be fearless and be flexible. And had a good evening. I'm already too late, sorry for that. So my torturing is over. Thanks a lot for listening and have a nice evening.